Gender-based violence, GBV, causes, contributing factors, and consequences. Gender-based violence, or GBV, refers to any harmful act inflicted against a person's will, and that is based on socially ascribed differences between males and females. That is, gender. It includes acts that inflict physical, sexual, or mental harm or suffering, threats of such acts, coercion, and other deprivations of liberty. These acts can occur in public or in private. The three program areas, prevention of, risk mitigation, and response to GBV, can be best described when imagining a tree. We can talk about the roots of the tree when considering the causes of GBV. We can visualize the factors that contribute to its occurrence as natural elements that can affect the tree. And we can envisage the consequences of GBV as the branches, leaves, and fruits of the tree. As the roots of the tree are deeply anchored in the ground, the causes of GBV are deeply entrenched in social norms and attitudes. The root causes of GBV are gender inequality, systemic discrimination, and unequal power relations. These root causes explain why and how GBV occurs. When we address the underlying causes of GBV, we prevent GBV from occurring. How do we do this? By changing behavior and social norms, including through long-term approaches. By embedding gender equality in all our work. GBV prevention corresponds to one of the three areas of GBV programming. All GBV prevention programming must be accountable to women and girls and should only be initiated once essential services are in place to respond to incidents. As for the contributing factors, these are the elements that the tree can encounter. For example, the weather and the temperature that affect how the tree grows. The contributing factors of GBV are many and depend on the specific context in which GBV takes place. Some examples are the lack of institutional legal framework, the presence of armed conflict or natural disasters, the abuse of alcohol or drugs, the separation of families and the disruption of community support, and poverty, among others. Risk factors manifest in very different spheres and intervene at all levels of the ecological model, as individual characteristics, at the level of relationships, within the community, and in the society as a whole. Forced displacement situations often increase the risk of GBV as people lose protective mechanisms and depend on aid. These make individuals, in particular women and girls, vulnerable to exploitation and abuse. To addressing contributing factors, mitigating measures should be put in place, and this is what we refer to as GBV risk mitigation, another area of GBV programming. Mainstreaming GBV risk mitigation in all phases of humanitarian programming is the responsibility of everyone. All humanitarian actors need to know how to respond to a disclosure of GBV safely and ethically, and be familiar with the established referral mechanism for GBV survivors. The consequences of GBV for survivors, their families, and their community are the branches, leaves, and fruit of the tree. As for the forms of GBV, consequences are physical, psychological, or economic, and often manifest as mental health issues, social stigma, isolation and rejection, and discrimination, to name a few. The consequences of GBV have both immediate impact on the survivors and their family, and long-lasting effects. The effects of GBV are often interrelated. For example, a survivor who experiences an unwanted pregnancy as a consequence of a rape may develop anxiety, anger, rejection from family, and sometimes even suicidal thoughts. To respond to the consequences of GBV, multi-sectoral services that are safe and aligned with the survivor-centered approach should be accessible to all survivors in order to facilitate healing and recovery. Response to GBV, another area of GBV programming, is the responsibility of specialized staff with specific training and experience. Through different types of interventions, we can address GBV root causes, contributing factors, and consequences. Our collective efforts aim at eliminating GBV and that the people and communities we work for are not exposed to the risk of GBV or its consequences.